This presentation is sustainable apple production for EU markets. Speaker is Julka Toskic, consultant on fresh apple sector in Serbia, International Trade Center. Mrs. Toskic, the floor is yours. I have a presentation that organizers will deliver or hand it over to you. I don't want to take much of your time. I'm not going to go through the presentation. This is the first ITC project, and we have a lot of things to share with you. Two production groups we decided to work on are the sour cherries and apples. And I would like to ask you to enroll in the list that my colleague will give it to you in order to contact you about that. ITC, I don't know if you're aware of it, is then organization that has all data at one place. So we have sustainability map, and you can see on the presentation that will be handed over to you and materials and links that we share with you that can be interesting to you. So thank you very much. Okay, so good day to everyone. My name is Julka Toskic, for those who don't know me, and I'm really glad that I have the opportunity today to speak before you. And this about an interesting and important topic, and during the presentation you will see how it fits to everything that you've heard from the previous presenters. As an introduction, we have to be aware that Serbia, with the production of 500,000 tons of apples, is one of the largest producers of apples in the southeast of Europe. In the past 10 or 15 years, we definitely mastered the technology of growing and production of apples, and apart from that, it's necessary to do a lot of other things so that the apple production in the future will be sustainable. So you will see the current situation with the apple production in Serbia, and the sustainability and the focus on the pesticides that we use and some EU markets that we have to focus on. When we see some of the recent results, almost 500,000 tons of apples that Serbia produces, it is the volume that is necessary for the further diversification of the market, and the quality is such that it can be sold at the most demanding markets. It is a more modern, intensive production compared to the previous extensive production with hybrid variety, which is maximum 30 to 35% of it. So the warehousing capacity is considerably increased. Serbia has been capable to offer apples throughout the year. After warehousing, there is a calibration. As the previous presenter said, what's missing, that's the uniformity of the offer, and we can do that and manage to achieve that with calibration. Adding to production without the quality standards, not a serious offer can be made without that, no matter how large your company is. Then packaging is also very important. We returned to the cardboard packaging, even to the wood packaging as well, because it is part of sustainability. That has been present for a couple of years. When it comes to exports, some changes occurred there too. Russia is not anymore the dominant market for Serbian apples for the reasons that you've heard today. The reason is also the fact that 10 years ago Russia imported 1.2 million of apples. In 2014, because of having their own apple orchards, the demand for import was much lower, so it is about 400 to 450,000 tons. So our producers worked on that, and we diversified markets, and you've heard about that in the previous presentations. But on average, when you look at it, believe it or not, apples from Serbia are exported to almost 40, and it was once 46 markets. When it comes to the standards, they are definitely necessary because they serve to prove the quality of your production. And we spoke a lot about it, and the EU market and all other export markets just have all these standards. If you want to remain on the global market, you have to introduce your quality standards. And there are other very important things that are decisive in the global match. So if the exporters stick to certain standards, they can preserve their places in the market and keep their buyers. Green deal that has already been approved in EU and came into force, and integrated pest management and integrated protection of the plants and the production of apples without the residue, pesticides residue. And from farm to fork is also part of this vital green agenda. So the production of apples have to become ecologically acceptable. So in that sense, this directive is very important, which shouldn't be avoided and neglected. We have to read it and to see what the focus of this directive is. Of course, the use of the pest protection is crucial for the apple production, but we have to make a step forward. To be honest, our producers already have the integrated pest and plant protection. So apart from the classical synthetic pesticides, we have biological ones, and a lot of attention is paid to the measures which are not chemical ones. So that's the founding block of this production. I'm not going to go into details about that. So we speak about the apples on a large area. In large area, we have to pay attention to this, and the producers of apples in EU adjust their production to this. What's integrated protection? So we have it already. We have developed system of extensive services. We have the forecasting system in Vojvodina, but it's valid in the entire Serbia. So when you work on the protection, you have to monitor the conditions for appearance of diseases, not only pests. And based on that, to make decisions whether to use and to what extent you can use synthetic pesticides or to try to use some other measures to see whether we can use pheromones. Of course, they should be used. So this is just a presentation of the steps in the plant's protection. What we need to think of. So we need some specific fungicide or pesticides, particularly those that have a very targeted impact on a specific body and without having the impact on the environment. So these pesticides are biodegradable and they have 7 to 14 days uh, kind of period of degradation, and 15 to 16 days is the degradation of the in the soil. So integrated protection of plants means the reduction of doses. And it also includes the changing of time of application in order to meet the deadlines, and it also includes the fact that if certain period, certain places where there is a resistance noticed, then some kind of mixtures or blending of these agents can be used for a longer period of time. So, so this is accepted and approved and binding in EU. By 2030, the use of pesticides should be reduced by 50%, which is, in my opinion, almost impossible because the proper protection cannot be given to fruit. What has been done, the public areas, public space is protected. Pesticides are forbidden to be used in the public parks and in protected areas according to Nature 2000. Serbia is also part of this. And it is related to the marked locations, which are very important for the protection of biodiversity. The next thing that we have to attain to, and I know that there are some producers in Serbia that have a zero residual level production. So everything that you apply, whether you use some preventative fungicides or if you change the time of application, you can see that it's not so difficult to produce a zero residual level. So later on, we're going to speak about EU market, and that would be a great thing for entering the EU market, and certification is also something that will be started here, and whether our local regulation is harmonized with the EU. Well, luckily, it has been harmonized, not as of yesterday, but for 12 years. So at the moment, a new list of approved substances have been prepared, harmonized with the EU. So all decisions made in EU are just copied here in Serbia, and it will be disclosed soon. So the green agenda that happened in the past year, everybody wants to forbid the glyphosate. It was not forbidden, but all measures, precautionary measures, were provided so that environment is not impacted. So the fact is that this substance is not in contact with the soil. Then the abamectin substance was also supposed to be removed from the Annex 1 list, but their registration was approved. But it can be applied only in the closed area. So the preparations based on abamectin were used for the production of apples. So if I were you, I would just think whether to use that substance, and I'm going to show you soon why. So that our institute for the protection of plants will publish that on their website, and then we will have the period where that list is officially published, and then the list of registration of preparations which have been in the meantime prohibited will be removed. So maybe this sounds quite approximative, but our list and the EU list are the same. So every decision made in EU is followed. So in less than 1 month, that decision is approved and applied in Serbia, and the maximum allowed residues decisions are applied, and those maximum allowed quantities, residue quantities, are usually less than in the past, and then in such cases, such amounts are allowed to be used in the public spaces. So if someone is working on the grafting of the fruit trees, and you and your staff can look at this list of EU, and so you can see where you can export, and you have the active substances which are allowed, and you have here the list of the residue, pesticides residues. So this is these are the steps how you can reach the adequate information. So we mentioned abamectin, and in the past it was 0.03 per kilo, and now, which is valuable, it is 0.006 per kilo of apple, which practically means that it is used in blooming. So I will just think whether to use it. So if we negotiate with the retail chains or with customers, I would ask them whether such substances can be used in the in our products. And here you have pyrifos. It is insecticide. So when you look at the pesticides with your distributors, always ask them to give you the changes of registration, and ask them to provide you with the latest information. The question is whether people read the instructions on every pesticide bottle or package. My recommendation is please read it. And so this substance is still on MRL list, and 0.01 milligram. But if they found it, it is allowed amount. But when they found it, they returned the the products. So from Morocco, from Turkey, the products are returned. So what's important? Everything that you do, it's very important to be done in a good way. So a good quality pesticide residue analysis needs to be done so that you as a producer know where you stand. So with this analysis, you can protect the quality of your apples, and you are witnesses of many claims and complaints. And in case some import is made, you need it. So more than 100,000 of samples, analysis of samples have been conducted in EU. So you should not think that you can, I don't know, for example, trick someone or so you analyze 15 to 20 active substances, and some of them have not been used for decades. So I recommend you to look at the internationally accredited laboratories, and if you need to do some super analysis, you with that analysis of such laboratories, you can prove that your product is okay. Of course, so food safety is very important, particularly with apples, and we know how many times you have to treat with substances the apple in order to get to the good quality product. And why we do that? So whoever wants to export into EU, we need to know that retail chains are the largest buyers. And everything that I mentioned so far, in order to become a good quality supplier of these retail chains, you have to be aware of the high standards that they have. What else happens? Major changes occurred in EU market, even broader, and where it is required from you not to be only a grower, but also someone who's responsible for logistics. And everybody is looking the implementation of corporate responsible operations. So apart from the safe pesticide and pest protection substances, the things that are insisted on and something that can raise you up as a supplier is whether you take care about the environment, what has already been mentioned by the previous presenters, whether you work on the decrease of the CO2 emission, although we are aware that in the apple production it is a very at a very low level compared to some other industries. And you've also heard today the ethical trade and which means that it's no misuse of the in the labor of the miners, which does not occur here, maybe in some third world countries, and the fair trade as well. And I'm get back to the major things, the most important things, and that's the safety. And what I already said, the supermarkets are more are stricter than the retail chains. Also, the acceptable daily intake meaning the reference dosage, which means the residue of pesticides that you can take when you eat a fruit, which will not make damage to your health. And also the reduced volume of active substances. So based on the previous experience and contact with the retail chains, we have here some of them on the slide. So Aldi does not accept that EU list on the residue pesticides. They also require only 5 pesticides or fungicides on your list, and they're not going to ask for some additional things. Carrefour and Edeka also have the same requirements. They also have the list of prohibited products. Not to mention all of them, but you always have to ask your potential buyer what are those things, so that you know that in advance and not to have any problem with that later on. This is a system that we all of us heard about it, and there are all the data about it. Everything is archived. The entire EU, even wider, entire Europe is informed when from some country shipping is made with a higher amount of pesticide, and everybody knows who produced that, and in the long run it creates more problem to those who are hardworking, but they were not informed about these requirements, and their fruit had some pesticides in a larger amount than allowed. The trend is that the entire import of apples to EU has been reduced. So 230,000 tons here, and which is not a negligible market. And given that transport has become the major item in the cost of fruit, we have to take the EU market into consideration. And I got this data from Info Team. So last year, from harvest to harvest. So these are the countries and the prices that were achieved. Some people like to say that Hungary is our major market, but maybe about when we speak about the quantity, but not about the prices. So it's our neighboring countries. The industry doesn't have a problem with transportation costs, but based on the prices, you can see the type of the fruit and the quality of the fruit, which country they are sent to. So 3.36% is what Serbia exports. Just to sum up, so without this, we cannot appear on the EU market. So the segmentation is present. Maybe it sounds difficult, but it's not really difficult to do it. So these are the researches that show that no decrease in consumption of apples in EU is expected by 2030. So 11.5 million of tons is now, and that volume will, or the amount will remain as such. And it gives the chance to all of you to do your marketing plans well and to better position yourself in EU market. And never forget who's responsible for the health safety of apples? That's you, as producers, as growers. And you have to take care who you collaborate with, the companies that export that, and that is something that is the crucial for this industry. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have any questions, I'm here. You can ask me later on during the break.